Hello, hello, hello. I am Carla Renata, your moderator, and I'm here for CherryPicks doing an interview with the fantabulous Somi from Jaja's African Hair Braiding. Hello, sis.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm loving the cascading of the hair. It's kind
Thank
of
you.
it's kind of fabulous. So
Thank you.
let's get into it. I know that excuse me, that this is a show that got a lot of attention and got rave reviews. Is produced, starring, and written by Black women. And as someone who is making their Broadway debut as an actress, how exciting was it for you to be able to be a part of a world premiere, since we haven't seen that since 1991 by a Black playwright? How
Yeah.
exciting was it for you to be a part of a project of this nature?
Very exciting. First of all, thank you for having me today.
Yeah.
It was thrilling to be a part of it. To be a part of any kind of historic uh artistic endeavor that excuse me, lifts up these voices not only on and off, not only on stage but also off stage. It was a dream. I think it's was sort of the perfect opportunity to mark my debut, to be surrounded by sisters, to be surrounded by people who look like me, to have the opportunity to lean into a story that uplifts African women who are very much the women who raised me as a daughter of immigrants. Um, it was it was really a dream project. I'm grateful to have been a part.
Let me just say, I'm listening to you talk, and I'm just distracted by you're so beautiful. Your
Oh
skin
my
is
goodness.
glowing. You're just really
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
Now, I used to live in Harlem. I used to live on 146 between Saint Nick and Convent, and I
Yeah.
have gone up to those hair braiding salons up there where they pull your hair and your brains out at the same time. It's like, woo, okay, your head is so tight that you feel like you didn't have a facelift. Have you been up there to get your hair braided since you've been in the city?
Absolutely. I live in Harlem, actually. I actually made an appointment for tomorrow. So I'll be taking these down and changing it up. So yeah, no, I've definitely been in and out of those type of salons for many, many years. And just a note, you can always tell them not too tight.
Listen, I have done that, and I have done that thing where you do like this and you hold it down so that they're not pulling it. It's still pulled. I'm like, it's a situation, but I'm tender headed, so that's a whole nother.
Right. That's another combo, right?
I'm very tender headed. Um, braids have been used to symbolize wealth, marital status, age, and rank within our community, right? So how I didn't have the opportunity to see the play, and I'm really sorry that I did not, because I had friends that were in it, and one of my Howard University sisters, Taraji P. Henson, produced it.
Yeah.
But how was this addressed throughout the process of not the process throughout the play? The fact that braids is not just a hairstyle for us; it symbolizes so many other things.
Well, I think that for this play, for this production, because the premise wasn't so much about what the hair means, but what it does do, I think, is by inviting the audiences into that kind of cultural space, that kind of intimate space, right? These salons are sites of deep cultural intimacy. And you see the sisterhood that's forged. You see the kind of cultural codes that are exchanged. The poetry of this production, I think, is that there was Jocelyn Bio, the playwright, was able to place so many kind of insider codes on the stage, which is wonderful because you're celebrating culture that has never been placed on the Broadway stage. But she made it also accessible for anybody who could come in. And even if they didn't necessarily know the meaning of, I don't know, the man who comes in selling socks.
We have all seen that, have we not? Socks, watches.
Exactly. Right, but they were able to participate in the humor and perhaps become more curious. So I think that is what's really important, to see that site of intimacy being celebrated, and to understand that there is a knowing among all of the people who pass through that shop about their past experiences with braiders, about their ideas of beauty for themselves, for other women who look like ourselves. There were all these other things that sort of show up that I think is a nod to history and to all of the things that I think braiding and kind of these African hairstyles have always meant to us as Black people in the world. I also would say just being able to see the artistry, right? The wig designer, Nakia Mathis, who is so extraordinary. She's an extraordinary actor herself and came to the work of designing wigs mostly because she felt like there weren't wig designers for her as a Black actress or her castmates. But then to see the magic that she and the whole braid gang of Jajas were doing backstage, leading up to the production and every single night when we were getting ready to go on stage, also speaks to the magic about how we can sort of become all of the things, and transform ourselves. You're talking about my little hairdo today. Tomorrow, I'm going to have something else. And
I
it just,
love that.
yeah. So it's just really about the magic of our hair and our heritage.
You have answered most of the questions that I have for you, but you did bring up magic. So I just want to know from your vantage point, what do you feel makes Black women and our hair so magical?
Well, I think that, okay, I'll give you the
You gonna give me the Reader's Digest version?
no, I don't know what the Reader's Digest version is, but what I will say, what I will say is politically, to decide to stand in your own beauty in a society that has, for generations told us that it's not beautiful, right? For all of time, questioned that beauty, right? So to decide to stand in it, to stand in who you are naturally, who is part of that magic. It really is. It's not even about the magic. It really is about courage,
Mm-hmm.
and truth telling. So I'm so grateful to have stood on that stage and tell the truth. Not only in the story of African immigrants in this country, of Black immigrants in this country who are often obscured from the larger immigration policy conversation, but really but also about ourselves as Black women in the world making art and hoping just to be seen.
I love that. Thank you so much for that answer. That was beautiful.
Thank
Um,
you.
you mentioned the wigs. When I looked at the clips, like I said, I wasn't fortunate enough to see it in real time, but when I looked at the clips, I thought I didn't realize those were wigs. They looked like someone who was getting their hair done in real time. And I saw the young lady with the pieces of hair on the back doing the braiding and whatnot. Did the girls have to go through like a braiding boot camp to make that look a little, authentic and real?
Well, so I'll say there's a whole conversation we've been having about how much do we tell about how the hair happened. So it is partly about theater magic, but I will say we did take time the very like first or second week of our rehearsal process. This sister by the name of Susie, she has her Instagram, I think it's Hair by Susie. She's a braid master. She came Nigerian American based in Brooklyn, also opened up something in LA and known to be kind of celebrity braider. She
Mm-hmm.
came in and did a workshop with us and continued to be a consultant on the production, in conversation with Nakia. So we really did have a couple of those braiding workshops that helped us understand the rigor, which I think is important because we kind of take for granted that you come into the salon, somebody does your hair, but you don't know about the arthritis. You don't know about how tired your fingers can get very quickly and the training and strength that is required to actually do it very, very well and quickly, right? And so yeah, there was definitely, everybody was actually braiding on stage in addition to the theater magic that was happening to make it seem as though people were getting like, waist length micro braids in under 90 minutes.
Right. Because that's what was cracking me up when I saw the clips. I'm like, I saw the one sister with I'm like, okay, well, I was like, I gotta ask you about that. I had to. Thank you for saying that. Let's
Yeah.
flip over to your music career. You have the distinguished honor of being the first African woman to be nominated for a Grammy in the jazz category, and you had your Broadway debut. Get it, girl. Um, and I also love that your parents are immigrants, but you grew up in Illinois. I'm from Missouri, so I just
Hey,
have to throw that in.
Midwest.
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I literally just came back from St. Louis yesterday.
Nice,
But
nice.
in the process of you in delving into your music career and for this Broadway debut that you just finished, what parts of wisdom did your parents give to you on this journey that you've been on thus far?
I would say to be proud of who you are. You know, my parents are, I don't think it's not so much that they were trying to make a political message, but they would always remind me, they would always remind us, my siblings and I, that of where we're from, you
Mm,
know? So you remember who you are, as in, and that's more of like a home training note, like don't go out in the street and not, act
you better
correctly.
act like you
So,
got some sense.
yes, it's one of those, right? But it was, it's that's really it. Like, remember who you are. And in doing that, though, and I will say that was part of my sort of pre-show meditation, like remembering that immigrant story, remembering the sacrifices my parents made, thinking about like just the audacity of their dreams that I might be standing on a Broadway stage every night, Like I
Mm-hmm.
think about the villages that we come from, my grandparents who didn't speak English, like I just think about all of those things and I can't take them for granted. So yes, leading the one of the many things that they taught us was to remember who we are, be proud of it.
I love that. That's a great lesson to learn. I know that you had a song that played at the end of the play. It was called Alien. Is that right?
Yes.
So was that offered to you as part of your contract coming in as an actress, or was that something that was discussed after the fact?
That was definitely not discussed while, prior to or as part of my acting contract. That was something that came up in the tech rehearsal process, when they were trying to figure out the right song for a particular scene, and my song was brought up in that conversation. They asked me if I would mind. So yeah, that's how it came up.
Because I was like, "Ooh," I'm like, "She's Spears. She got an acting role, and her song is in the play. That's doing something right there. That is definitely doing something." How did you, of all the genres of music, what is it about jazz that just draws you there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that jazz was sort of an accidental room that I stumbled in. And I think when you're kind of representing all these different spaces of being taking music from the continent, taking music from, Midwest, the Americas, whatever, and like kind of finding this sort of middle ground, which has really been my journey. um I think when things don't neatly fit into a category, sometimes people be like, it's jazzy. You know what I mean? If it's like, so there's partly that, but I think one of the things I love specifically about the idiom of jazz and that sort of world, that vocabulary is it's the one genre that explicitly asks everyone on stage to improvise, which means everyone on stage, their voice. And not to say there's no improvisation in other types of music, but just that you will hear the solo from the saxophone player to the drummer to the vocalist, right? And I think there is something about that kind of community of voices, of being yourself inside of an ensemble, like in a really explicit way, showing up and having something to say that's in the moment, that feels very much like a metaphor to my own life of having to like code switch between being this Midwestern girl, being this East African girl, being a Harlem New Yorker. Also, and I think even as like sort of a multi hyphenate as an artist, like being a singer, being an actor, being a playwright, like this sort of code shifting. I think I love that spirit of improvisation is celebrated. And I love that that improvisation insists on freedom, right? So I'm always interested in getting free, and hopefully other people get free with me just in the journey of that storytelling. So that's really, I would say, what draws me to jazz and jazz musicians, that commitment to freedom.
I'm getting free in this conversation with you right now. I'm just saying. So you've been Grammy nominated. What would it mean for you to have a Tony nomination for your role in this play? What would that mean for you in this moment in your life and your career?
I mean, I haven't even really been inside of that way of thinking about the work because I've just been trying to be present, and this is my first kind of like straight acting role. So I'm humbled by the ensemble of brilliant actors who's that's been their life's work. So I think to stand beside them, and if the universe decided that that was my that was offered or honored, that kind of honor was bestowed upon me, then I would probably, I don't know, what would it mean? I don't even know. Even this question is overwhelming.
Oh no, I'm not
No,
trying to overwhelm you.
like not in a bad way. I think I would, I'd be grateful. I would probably be stunned first, and then I would, be grateful because I was able to get on stage every night because of the grace of not only Whitney and Jocelyn and the producers for believing in me and giving me this opportunity, but the grace of the incredible actors on stage, the 9 other actors on stage who became dear friends and teachers as well. So I am, I don't know. I would be great. I can say I would be humbled and grateful. That's what I can say, and we'll just see
And
what
we'll
the
just leave it at that.
yes.
I wanted to thank you so very much for giving us the opportunity here at Cherry Picks to speak with you. It has been my immense pleasure to have this conversation with you. And I love the fact that there is a play, or there was because you guys have closed, I think, at this point. Or
Yes.
yes. So
Just
I was so excited that there was a play on Broadway that was able to show the camaraderie, the sisterhood, the laughing, the barbs, all of those things that come with Black women, and that we're not monolithic. And so that people are able to see this other side of us in a hair salon while we're getting our hair done and see what that's like. So thank you for bringing those characters to life, particularly your character. And thank you so much for this conversation. We so appreciate you.
Thank you, Carla. I appreciate you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.